Welcome to the Hope College Athletics Orange and Blue podcast. My name is Alan Babbitt, the Sports Information Director here at Hope College. It's been my pleasure this school year to chat with Hope College coaches and staff as we navigate this certainly interesting, to say the least, 2020 and 21 school year. And with me today is head men's lacrosse coach Mike Schanhals. Coach, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Alan. Hope you're doing well today.
Yeah, hanging in there, looking at the snow outside. It doesn't seem like lacrosse weather, but after the last few winters, I guess any time is lacrosse weather based on kind of just itching to play. It's been nearly a year, I think, since you guys last played a match. How would you describe is it excitement, anxiousness, eagerness for you and your team to finally be able to play again?
Yeah, we are so fired up to be together again and to be playing again. So it has been just a treat for us to have an opportunity to get out on the field, regardless of what the weather's doing. You can just see the smiles on the guys' faces and just a good vibe all the way through the program right now because we're doing what we love to do.
It'd be hard to remiss before we talk about what's coming this spring and this year's team, not looking back, not only on a special lacrosse team, but a special senior class that unfortunately due to the pandemic lost the chance to have a full season together. You guys were off to a 3-0 start and eagerly anticipating a chance to repeat as MIAA champions when, the season was canceled. Talk about that senior class. I mean, they've, elevated the program with getting to, winning that MIAA regular season championships and getting the MIAA tournament title and playing in the NCAA tournament and playing a very competitive match in that postseason debut. Just your thoughts on that senior class and what they meant to this program and to Hope College.
Well, I got a little chills hearing you describe, what those guys did for our program, and just a really dynamic group of people, and fun to work with, but also to win with, and we had to learn. We had a lot of talent. I think 8 of them started when they were freshmen, and that's kind of a shift for us, and it was a feeling out process. And so they were so obviously talented, and they, over the course of their time together, learned to play together really, really well. So to have that interrupted, and we were really clicking when things got disrupted, obviously, due to the pandemic. So yeah, that was it almost didn't seem real at the time, so when we left school, it felt like, well, we said, well, we'll see you in 2 weeks. We were going to take a 2-week pause at that point in time. And then, obviously that turned into quite a bit more. But the mission that they were on, graduate from Hope College, right? Grow and as a human being and as a person, get a great education. All those things happened, right? So the lacrosse part is super important to us, but we kind of know that's frosting. That's that part. So we did miss out on a little bit of that, but I'm so proud of those guys. So Scott Brooks, Drew Paulana, Marshall Van Belkom, Andrew Karras, Max Kuiper, Nick Bizzani, Gareth Ulmer, Rocco Mulleroni, Andrew Pavey, Nathaniel Henschel, and some guys that we had in that cohort that didn't make it all the way through to their senior year. Kyle Gaines, Sean Glebe, some really great people that we had an opportunity to work with, and that is a Hope College thing, though. You know what I mean? So that part of it is the main part of it, and it's the important part, and they all got that too. And we happened to win some championships, and that was really fun. obviously more fun to win than not to. But we were a little bummed that they didn't get the opportunity to do it again. But by the same token, we were so proud of them. And we hope to be able to honor them, when they come back to campus sometime. So I was missing the senior day and some things like that are big moments in their lives and good reflective moments for us on the coaching staff, because we appreciate all of it, like all the study and all the work and all the practice and all the extra and all the time together. So
what was it about this group in your mind that made them special, where they were able to not only have the Hope College experience, but then they get this extra frosting of, compete at a high level and really, accomplish some things that hadn't been, accomplished yet in your short history collectively as a group? What made that senior class, really stand out?
Well, I think some of the seeds for what they accomplished were laid with the class before them. And I would go back to, Wade Hogue and his class, and it's sort of just a shift like, hey, we're here to compete and we're here to have just the absolute best time that we can have together. And so what's special about this class that graduated last year is that they lived into that really, really well. Those guys are tight and they enjoyed each other's company, and they had each other's backs. And so I couldn't be more proud of all the guys that have played for us, championship or no championship. That's a baseline, but these guys they had something special in terms of their cohesiveness and how much they enjoyed their time together. And of course that's, that rubs off on all of us. So I'm really grateful that we have the group that we have this year, because those guys pass that on to us. Like, even though the seniors from last year aren't with us every day, we can feel them with us every day right now. So I think that's a big deal.
You obviously have some incoming freshmen, this year's team that, lost a high school season as well. And then you got returners who lost their season as well. So there's some similarities there, and still there's some differences of how we're able to gather and work together and all these different things we've all had to deal with the pandemic. How have you tried to, build the culture this year to, obviously to try to build on what's been done by those that came before you, with all the different things that we, have to contend with right now?
Yeah, I think, there's a certain amount of compartmentalization that we've had to do in all of our lives, due to the circumstances. And so it is such a treat to move out of your isolatedness and get back together with your team. So it's just, I think, none of these freshmen take being able to put a helmet on and play for granted at all, and so if there's sort of a sideways blessing to this whole situation that we've been dealing with, it's like things that we might normally take for granted are now precious to us. And so we've got a super group of incoming freshmen. I mean, they have just like totally gotten with the program right away. Everybody has each other's backs. The veterans, we always organize it so that there's a veteran with a new guy as buddies, and we have squads and squad leaders to keep things organized and just make sure that they're supported, wrap them up a little bit, which Hope College does in general too. So just trying to give them every opportunity to have a great time, and have the couple hours a day we get to be together, a special part of their day. So I think they get what a privilege it is to play, because that was taken away from them due to the circumstances way beyond our control, right? And I would also say that it was pretty unique, I think, at Hope College. They had an opportunity to be at college. They had an opportunity to be in a class, and it may be a little bit different than it normally would be, but Hope College did an outstanding job of making this fall semester happened for our kids, and they've worked tirelessly to make sure that we have everything we need to have the most successful season possible this spring too. And I could not be more grateful or impressed with the leadership right now.
If we were to watch, come by and stand on the sidewalk and watch you guys practice, does it look different than practice pre-pandemic? Have you had to make any adjustments in terms of how you practice and how you prepare your team and make the most out of that time that you have together?
We were lucky to have a little bit longer time in the fall together, so there was a little bit different pace. We also had a stipulation that there weren't any drop-ins or sort of casual get-togethers, so that made whatever time we had together more valuable, I think. So we got an awful lot done in the fall. And Tanya Gruppen, the athletic training staff, it makes everything so, clear to us. Such a great communicator. Yes, we're going to wear masks today when we line up. We're going to stand by these cones. Yes, there have been some adjustments, but we have a saying, that's water off a duck's back. We just roll with it and we keep smiling and playing. So it was really a little bit of a process at first for us to sort of ramp up, like, is this going to work? Is this okay? And then, we're to the point now where it pretty much looks like a regular practice, except for maybe when we break into squads and debrief something, they're socially distanced, and they have a mask on. So other than that, it's pretty much a straightforward practice plan like we would normally be able to develop. We're lucky because we're outside. So that I think the transmission risk of COVID, it was a high risk sport at first, and then it got moved down, as they learned more about it. And we saw that in the fall too. We really, it wasn't something that was happening at practice. Practice was a pretty safe place to be, outside, running around, having fun, and a healthy thing. So we feel really lucky that, it is like, out of the 24 hours of the day, it's 2 hours out of our day that are kind of normal. So, yeah.
Obviously, a challenge when you have a great senior class like you did is you got to find new people, and then there are new opportunities to get on the field and contribute. Talk about this year's team and what when we're finally able to see you play, what we're going to see out on the field.
Well, when you have a real competitive practice every day, the guys who are almost there, are so hungry to get their opportunity. And so what kind of happened last year too is, we like to play a lot of guys. We have a very deep roster. We want to use that depth, that speed, that athleticism. And the side benefit of that is everybody's involved. Everybody has something. They've got a mission. They're out there hunting. They're making something happen. So when that got cut off, that whole natural, like, okay, these younger guys are going to grow this season, that just got completely, smoked in the process too. So when those guys came back, they were so hungry to improve that our fall work was really, really productive for them. So now obviously the next step is to test that against, some other competition too, but we're really lucky to have a very talented and deep group of young players that we get a really good look in practice every day. So we feel like we're ready for games, but we also know that once the games are on, our growth and learning opportunities are just going to accelerate that much more. So we're really excited about that. And we've got some outstanding leaders that have they've been here the whole time, growing, learning, contributing, having a great time, being part of it. So our seniors, Adam Bell, Colton Warren, Peter Reynolds, Luke Elder, our leadership team, Will Cunnington, Jake Mybecker, Braden Blackburn, Andrew Wiggins, Andrew Conlin, Johnny Mann, these guys have done a great job of just making sure everybody has got their nose pointed in the right direction and they're going full speed. So our captains this year, Luke Elder, Jack Radsville, Tucker Martinez, and Lee Cunningham, have been just really good, patient leaders. And the young guys, I think, feel like they have their back, so it's been really nice for me as a head coach to work with these young men, just an outstanding group of people all the way through our roster right now. So we're super excited to start playing. Cannot wait to get going. And our first game in the conference is against Calvin, which is our big rival. And we just are so pumped about that. I got chills thinking about it right now. So
with obviously every sport, there are different ways that depth can have an impact, a positive impact on a team. In lacrosse, how does having a deep roster, what does that afford you or give you an opportunity? How does that impact the game?
Well, the first thing is tempo and practice, right? So if you're going to play fast and you only decide to play fast once a week, that's probably not going to work very well. So if we can play fast in practice and make good decisions at speed, that's really, really important. Okay. So if you got a group of dudes that are operating at 100 miles an hour and a group of dudes that are going 60 miles an hour, it's tough, So we got a bunch of guys right now that are just really getting after it. And so we're getting a good look every single day. And so because that's a strength of ours, we want to absolutely develop that as best we can. So we try to do that. And we try to make sure that it's fun to play at that pace. And that's not without some challenges, right? Because if you're going to play fast, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. But we look at that in practice as a benefit because we know we have to make mistakes to learn. And in order to do that, we have to put ourselves in stressful situations, right? And so we want to try to turn that dial up so it's uncomfortable every day. And so it's like we said earlier, water off a duck's back. That's how we do it all the time. And yes, so some stuff's going to go sideways and we're going to soak it and move on to the next thing quickly and directly as possible. So these guys have done a great job being together as teammates. They've done a great job trying to develop themselves as good teammates. And we're super, super proud of the work that they've done in that regard.
The respect for your program, for your fellow coaches, or they gave you the nod as the top spot in the MIAA preseason coaches poll. I know this league, you guys know well in terms of how challenging it is. I guess first, how do you deal with being the team that people want to beat and put a big mark on their schedule because they know what a win over you guys would mean? And then two, how do you see this league shaping up this spring? I mean, you haven't seen each other play in a year either, so there's going to be a lot of unknowns for everyone.
Right. Yeah. The scouting this year has been a real challenge, right? So we don't have a whole lot of film in the can from last year. What our roster is going to look like with the additional year of NCAA eligibility, and so teams just posting their rosters right now. So we're trying to get a handle on, okay, well, who's new? And then I think it's going to be interesting to play, so to effectively to win the conference title, you're going to need to beat a team 3 times potentially, right? Ideally, right? Because we want to win every game, so
yeah.
That is a unique challenge, more like a basketball coach faces than a lacrosse coach in a normal season. Because usually you just play a team, once and then maybe again in the conference. So it's it's not without its unique challenges for us, but, you know, we're happy that you know, it's nice. It's a sign of respect to get votes like that. Nice, but now we have to go do it, you know? So that's the exciting part, is it's not, you know, and that's the weird thing about winning a championship. As soon as that's over, it's like, okay, next, you know, next. So this hiatus has maybe helped me reflect on what we did, you know,
Yeah.
a little bit more. And we're always trying to drive improvement and get better. But it was nice to sort of take a breath and go, wow, that was really cool. That was super fun. And what a great group of people that we got to spend time with. So we got a lot of returners on our team right now that know what to do, right? They know what it takes. They're champions and they want more of it. And so they're very hungry, and that's driving them. They know the faster that the new guys get it and get up to speed, you know, the better we're going to be as a team. And so we're really excited to jump into league competition in March, which is also a new thing for us as well, because of the double round robin this year. So, and it did not escape our attention that not every coach in the league voted us first this year. So we definitely took note of that.
What makes this league challenging? Obviously, you know it very well, and playing these teams on a regular basis. What have you seen as far as the growth of this league that's, you know, producing some very high quality lacrosse?
Yeah, I'm so proud of our league. I mean, obviously, my history at Hope Lacrosse goes, you know, it predates the MIAA and MIAA play. So, you know, when I see MIAA lacrosse, I still am just like pinch myself excited for the fact that we are where we are right now. So in terms of the growth and development of the sport, there's better and better players coming out of the state of Michigan. And most of those kids do play in our league, which I think is fantastic for the growth of the game. And our league provides a ton of opportunities for kids to take it to the next level, get a great education, and continue their lacrosse careers. So I have a really good relationship and bond with the other coaches in the league. You know, we're kind of in a unique place, sort of tucked up here in Michigan. And, you know, some of the guys come from other places and other lacrosse traditions. So it's a good group of men that are my colleagues in the league. And I just really enjoy, you know, coaching alongside them and against them, of course. Right. So I'm buddies with those guys, you know, most every day of the year, you know. So we'll see each other at recruiting events or summer tournaments or, you know, this thing or that, or at a meeting. And, you know, we're the collegiality is outstanding. So we're very fortunate. We know that, you know, we need to situate ourselves in a better spot. Like top to bottom, our league needs to get more competitive at the NCAA level. They have reconfigured the regions for the NCAA tournament. We're probably in a position where we're still only going to get the automatic qualifier and not an at-large bid yet, like some of our other teams, like our basketball teams might, you know, if they don't win the conference title, they still have a chance at an at-large. You know, we're not to that place yet in our league. And I think all of the coaches in the MIAA, they get that, and we're working to change that. So it has become very, very competitive, a great place to play, and just a ton of fun to be involved in it and right in the mix. So we're very pleased with where we're situated right now.
You've enjoyed lacrosse here at Hope College as a player, and then as a club coach, and now varsity coach. And lacrosse has been a sport that's really would be considered, I think, an emerging sport in the last 10, 15 years, 20 years, maybe in the United States. Where did the love of the game start with you? How did you get involved? And then, and it led you obviously to where you're at now.
Yeah, I think lacrosse is the fastest growing sport across the country. And it has been on that trend for quite a while now. And it's not surprising to me. So I was I was really lucky to start playing lacrosse in college, which is a little bit strange these days. You know, a lot of kids grow up with a stick in their hand, like I would have grown up with a hockey stick in my hand or a baseball glove, you know, or a basketball or whatever sport was happening at that point in time. So as an athlete, you know, the first time I got to play lacrosse, I was like, this is awesome. You know, this is so much fun. I was a punt returner, and it felt like that, you know, like, oh, everybody's chasing me, trying to kill me. You know, this is so exciting. I love this. So I was hooked from the very first time that I had an opportunity to play. So my great friend, best friend growing up all my days, Tom Thiele and I were coming out for the team at the same time in college. And Tom Kuiper and Greg Vinstra were the captains, and they really brought us up. You know, we had a really good team that year, and it was really fun to be able to jump on and contribute. And so it was just such a great time. And I didn't anticipate necessarily that it would take over my whole my whole athletic life, and it certainly had. I mean, I love sports of all types, but I do remember calling my dad and just telling him, hey, this is awesome. You gotta find out about this. And this is something, you know, shared my love of sports with my dad. And he reminded me of this. Like, he said, remember when you called me, you know, and said, boy, I think this is something that I really want to do, you know? So it was a big opportunity. And I'm so proud every time I put a Hope Lacrosse shirt on, which I'm wearing one right now, you know, just because I know how fortunate I was to come up at that time. So Tommy and I were named captains for the following year. And it was a huge cathartic experience for me. So, you know, having to be just a dude and playing versus having some responsibility and some leadership. I, to be honest, didn't really look at myself like that. You know, I was just a guy and someone who loved to play, and to have that responsibility really opened my eyes to what was possible, not just for our young team at that time, but also, you know, personally for me, it showed me a different part of myself that I didn't really necessarily know that I had at that point in time. So we had a really super tough schedule in those days of lacrosse. Like, if you played lacrosse, pretty much anybody would play anybody. There was an opportunity to get a game going because it was so much more rare. So, you know, we had some epic spring break trips down south. There was a big tournament down there, and it was Division 1, 2, 3 teams. You know, you said we were a club team. We didn't really look at ourselves as a club team. We were the only team we had, you know, so we were the lacrosse team. And so it was like, and guess what? We're playing, you know, this team. And we even played a group of old men, you know, once a year. Was the Grand Rapids Lacrosse Club. And then when I graduated, I started playing for those guys, and boy, they were good. Like, they just absolutely thrashed us, and we'd be running around like crazy, and they would just pass the ball beautifully, pass, goal, you know. And it was like, we should probably take notes from these guys. So it was just so much fun to play the sport at that time. And it has continued to be a real exciting, you know, thing to watch it grow. So, you know, watching both of my boys be able to have a stick in their hand when they were little guys and play their whole lives has been really fun, and they love it. And it's been really neat for me to be able to see them thrive and grow like that too. So I just, I'm so grateful for that. So when I started coaching, then I was actually finishing up at Hope College, finishing up a couple credits and working. And I was visiting a friend in an old, in my old dorm. Like, I hadn't lived in this dorm for like 2 years. And I was visiting a friend there, and they said, hey, Mike, there's a phone call for you. Now, you know, in those days, the phone was on the wall. and the number
That's right.
was to my old dorm room number, right? So it's a total coincidence that I was even in the vicinity, but they said, "Hey, someone's on the phone for you." And I was like, "What?" That's weird. So I picked this thing up. It's Rick Morris from East Grand Rapids, and they want to interview me for a coaching job. And I still can't explain, how that all went down, but somehow I got the job. Head coach, East Grand Rapids. Absolutely loved coaching there. And when I graduated, started to work for the Grand Rapids Press as a journalist, and was completely smitten by the coaching bug, and had a sense that I probably, just because of the life that it entails, I needed to go and credential myself as a teacher, probably, so that I could do that more. So I did. I went back and got teaching credentials, and then have been doing a little bit of both, or a lot of bit of both, ever since. So I feel really lucky, and I'm so glad that I picked it up at that time. Changed my life.
And now you continue your teaching career. Now you're at North Muskegon, and I'll probably sell you short in terms of what you teach, but I know following you on Twitter, literature is a big part of what you do. Just talk about a teacher and that side of your life, and how you try to make a difference with students that way.
Well, as I learned, to get a teaching certificate was a little bit harder than just having studied a lot of English and philosophy in college. So I was not able to have a teachable minor, which was a requirement then, because I had a double major in English and philosophy. So I had to get elementary certification, which is a real blessing as well. So consequently, I have weird sort of a combination of things. So I'm certified to teach K through 12, and have actually taught every grade from K through 12 in my career. So mostly for the last 20 years or so, it's been high school English, and mostly seniors at this point. So, but I taught middle school for a long time, and I teach senior English, which is the required course for graduation. So everybody has to take that unless they elect to take AP Lit, which I also teach, small school. And I teach some American literature too, which was my emphasis when I was studying under Dirk Jellema at Hope College back in the day. So I love to read. I love to share that with my students. And I think I'm so crazy about sports that if I didn't have some balance, like if I didn't have this going on during the day, I would get way too competitive for the athletic part of the day. So it's good. It's been good for me to be able to do both, and I'm thankful to Hope for, allowing me to do that. So I still coach a little bit of basketball. So I've been a basketball coach here my whole entire career here, which is now I'm approaching 30 years here. So the dead period for the NCAA is November and December, from the end of fall ball to when we start back up. So there's 8th grade basketball in that window, and I still coach 8th grade basketball. I can't help it. So just really love the interaction. I think I learned so much from playing sports, and just love it. And so to be able to share that, and then also create a relationship with people so that you can, be pushed intellectually at the same time is everything I've ever wanted to do professionally. So I'm so grateful that I have this opportunity, for sure.
Well, lastly, I can't help but ask you to give us an assignment. Obviously, this pandemic has allowed a lot of time for reading. If you were to recommend someone listening, hey, you should read this. This is a good read during when you have some extra free time that we do on occasion now. What would you recommend, or what are you reading right now?
I'll tell you what, that's a great question, but it's a subject for a whole series of podcasts, probably. But I'll try to keep it. I just finished a book by Todd Goldberg. They're called The Low Desert, which is gangster stories. And the reason I started, or I picked it up, is because I like reading the Don Winslow stuff. And so Don Winslow recommended it. He blurbed it, and I was like, well, I'll check it out. I'll look at it. So I've been in a little bit of a lull, which I think is pretty common during this pandemic. It's like we're binging Netflix shows and stuff like that, and not necessarily unplugging and reading. And I think that's probably pretty natural. So this was a collection of short stories, and that suited my short attention span and short windows of opportunity to read. So I've been really enjoying those. I just finished it this afternoon. So that's a good one if it's kind of barn burner fiction about these gangsters out in a very unfamiliar, warm territory. So I'm with my class right now of seniors. We're looking at John Krakauer's book, Missoula. And that's been an excellent discussion starter for us. We're also reading the Iliad at the same time. So some classics. I'm more reading that to them than they're picking it up and reading it themselves. So that's kind of our read aloud right now. And then we're always open to something new. So we give a lot of choice. So we just encourage people to find something that they're into. So what are you into? I'll see if I can recommend something for you.
I'll have to look at that. I'm mainly following my daughter. She is in the Path English Lit class at Hope.
Wonderful.
And so, following her, whatever she's reading and discussing, and they've been working on poetry and remembering some things that are back in the brain from my day being in middle school. She's a sixth grader. So I probably won't have much time for reading these next 2 months, but that's all right. We're going to have some Hope sporting events to be able to see and stat and do all those fun things.
We definitely have some sports happening, which is wonderful. So the Path program is amazing. Our youngest son was in that in English, and it was just such a great experience for him, and really ignited his passion for literature, which I was happy to see. So good luck to her on that. That's super fun. And if you don't, it doesn't need to be long, but just if you can read a poem out loud to her, I bet she would just absolutely love it. So I have a whole list. I'll email you of my favorite read alouds. And like I found with older kids that they don't mind, even though that seems kind of weird. You usually read to younger kids who can't read yet, but that we all love that story, and we all love to hear a good story too. So I'll send you that. That's
a great idea. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've got as you know, that time being a father, that's important stuff. And we got to make time for that too. Even though we spend a lot of time together, it can be easily to maybe not take full advantage. So I will look forward to that, and grateful to spend this time with you, Mike, with the Orange and Blue podcast. Appreciate the time. I know you're itching and getting ready here. March 3rd, I think, if I got it right, Aurora is the first match on the schedule.
Yep.
Home opener and 5:00, and everyone put that on your calendars and be able to at least watch it online, and then maybe fingers crossed sooner and later you can see a lacrosse match in person. So thanks, Mike, and good luck this season.
Thank you so very much, and I hope you have a great day.